Aloha Kohala. It is 3:01 here on July 6th, 2022. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is Eila Algood. I am here with
Michál Anna.
And we are here to do Intuitive Talk Story today. And yeah, it feels good. Last time felt different. It's so amazing how everything changes.
Everything's moving and shifting every day.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
like
that wonderful?
the moments that are kind of challenging, they don't last. So then we're in another moment. So today we're in this moment, and we talked a bit about a lot of things, but vibrations increasing and being in the moment. And you brought some readings. Mm-hmm. And where would you like to start today, dear Michál?
Well, there's a lot of energy moving, a lot of opportunity to shed, as we've talked about many times, but right now it's woo! And many of you might be feeling that increased ability to transmute more fear into love. Mm-hmm. And that's really available now. And you can maybe meditate on a blue energy, just calming waters, living waters, just washing over everything and allowing transmutation of anything that's no longer serving to be washed through the living water, to be cleansed, renewed, and transmuted into the highest place and into its rightful place in the light.
Yeah, take a breath on that. And I've been feeling lately manifestations happening quickly. And I've, for many years, have had this sense that, our thoughts create our reality. What we put out, we get. Yes. We've talked about that a billion times. And lately, it feels like I'm just seeing those manifestations happen quickly. And it's a reminder for me to, hey, keep track of what's going on in your head. Not just what you say, because it's easy for me to be kind of positive on the outside. But, we all have different things.
Feelings, emotions.
That come up that can challenge that. And it's just been a reminder. Keep putting out what do you want to see, not what you don't want to see, or even like qualities about other people. Just staying away from making other people wrong and focusing on what would life look like if this person was connected with their higher self and moving through the world. Oh, okay, open those possibilities for myself, but for other people.
Well, it's more like opening that possibility for yourself and for yourself, because as we see it because there's nobody out there. And because if you see yourself, if you're able to see the highest good in somebody else, you're just seeing God, source within them, which means you're finding source within you because you're reflecting that place of unity with one another.
Yeah. And it's also not feeding the behavior that may not be so stellar in that other person. And I just picked that as somebody else. It could be us too.
Well, it could
not focus on that behavior that's like dark or ugly or mean. Just you see it. It's not like your head's in the clouds. You see it, but there's this focusing on what you want.
Right, and to kind of connect that into things we've previously discussed, that's really the acknowledgement that that's a program running. When you're something behavior negative, you're experiencing something of that nature, it's a program, period. Period. And it's coming probably from a wound. We've also can heal our wound, and then the mind is long and tricky, like it's been doing it a long time. So even once you've healed something, you still have to stalk the mind and choose the other path, just like the driveway, because it's rutted out. It's been going down that same path all the time.
Right.
So you still have to go, no, right, that's not what I want to say. I want to say this. You have to make that connection. But anything you're feeling discomfort with, my mom used to say when I was little, I'm not mad at, this, I'm not talking about you. I love you. I don't like your behavior.
Right. Differentiating
between the person
the soul and the
behavior, because the behavior is not us. It's what we're enacting, usually out of reaction. And if we're in reaction, then we have left neutrality and 0 point, and we have now entered probably another moment in our multidimensional space and time. Now, this gets into...
Well, that does get into something, doesn't it?
being present. What does it really mean to be here now? What does that mean? I'm going to reference a movie that everyone go see. I don't know. It's brilliant. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It's with Michál Kwan. It's new. It's on Amazon.
I'll look it up.
It's
Say it again.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And they do a brilliant job of showing this multidimensional facet of the fractalizing of the mind. In essence, what all of us have been experiencing is that fractalized minds because of pain and wound and trauma. So what that means is you're experiencing all of those things at once. So you're having a conversation right now, but somebody says something that triggers something from when you're 7. Somebody says something that triggers a whole nother lifetime that you don't even know where it's coming from, but it evokes a feeling.
It bothers you
and evokes it. I don't like that, whatever. It evokes something.
Yeah.
So are you actually living in this moment now, or are we experiencing multiple moments from all over space and time of our experiences based on the fractalizing of the soul being wounded in trauma? It separates, it splits. So everything we've been talking about is about bringing these fractalized pieces back into wholeness, which means zeroing out everything that has energy out there. So there's some piece of you that's experiencing, horridness and feels bad because they experienced a life where their family got slayed. And now they're still holding that guilt in this life, although it's past. So you actually are like zeroing out that lifetime, that energy. Like, no, I forgive myself. I have released my family. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And I allow my spirit to like release from this this experience in that energy. And then you, like I've talked about before, pixelate, zero out that memory.
Yeah, and it's gone.
And it's gone. Now you've zeroed out one more thread that's like a fractionalized piece of yourself that you kept experiencing and going to instead of being here now. So you're bringing that piece, all of your energy from that one into this one. So the goal is to release all the pieces so all of your energy is here now.
Yeah, and relationships, I feel, are kind of key to that, because it's how we interact with one another that brings that stuff up, right?
Well, the mirrors.
The mirrors, right.
Yeah.
So you're interacting with someone and they say something, they do something, you react to it. It may not even be what they said. Like, you may not have even heard the words. Right. It could just be some kind of energy they're sending you.
The tone.
Right. And it's triggering something from another time. So getting to the point where there's less reaction.
And that goes back to catching it, like we've talked about a lot of times. Please listen to those again if you're like, what was that again? Picking up your pearls, tracing the mind, going back into the memories and working with your inner child. That's really where that work has to happen, with your inner self. That's who knows where everything is. You can't ask yourself now because you're good. Like, it's your 4-year-old self that's having a hard time. It's this whole other piece of you.
Right.
And because time isn't linear, that's all happening at once. And that's a huge concept to even try to grasp your head around in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what? Of course it's linear. I'm like this age now and I was this age before.
Right.
But in the bigger scope, like, we're in this, like, as it gets wider, it's like, kind of like age matters less the older you get, because the age gap lessens. And it's like it changes as it gets wider. It's different.
A wider perspective.
Yeah. So, so I did bring 2 poems. Miss Eila wrote a fabulous book here, and I was happy to receive it. And it's called Estuary, Interdimensional Poetic Journey by Miss Eila Allgood.
Thank you.
I honestly just opened it yesterday, like, show me, like, where should we go? Like, what do you think? And I flipped to this. So I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to read you a poem that I ended up writing yesterday.
Thank you.
So this is from Eila. To be free. Soft green glow under tree bough, fresh new grass, lead me to pass through portal of fear and doubt, looking to find a way out of endless internal chatter that does not matter. Crunchy steps on rocky trail tell me I cannot fail. In a universe built on success, everyone is doing their very best. When rainbow grows across the sky, if it doesn't reach the other side, we do not say it has failed, even as it has paled. We appreciate the view and its inherent virtue. Can you do the same for me and me for you to be free?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How's that hearing your poem? Oh!
It's kind of exciting. I don't remember writing it. I remember editing it 20 times, and that happens a lot with certain types of poems. I'll write them.
I felt that from this one.
Yeah.
Felt like
it's
a
like
channel.
that just kind of came in. Yeah, came through me.
Yeah.
I think, I enjoy that experience.
A lot of my writing is like that, and this piece is like that.
All right. Well,
and so this just came to me last night.
Okay. I liked your pace, by the way. That was nice. And poetry needs to be kind of in that
Cadence.
Slow rhythm.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
this is another one. We're just sparking. Close your eyes if you're able to. Just as you listen to these poems, help spark thoughts, ideas, other parts of ourselves.
See how it connects with you.
Yeah.
Or not.
And then how we can, jump from there into further deepening into the conversation. So to be free was really where Eila was going and finding a way out. And I kind of piggybacked on that thought and just went, yeah. And I just started writing this.
Okay.
And it came through very quickly. Trying to find my way in the sea of cray-cray. Sometimes so dark I could not see, yet I trusted you and me. I would connect with the highest self every day, and then do my work, humble and pray, using the mirrors to conquer my fears, facing the tape, unmasking the fate, mastering the mind, unlocking the divine. Things are not what they seem. Is this just but an inverted dream? If we hold steadfast to the light within and remember, then I do win. And the game of separation crumbles and crashes. Unity prevails. The phoenix rises from the ashes.
Beautiful. Unity. So we have freedom and unity.
And it was Freedom Week here in America. And that day means a lot of different things to many people. But I just like to concentrate on the concept of freedom because that's what it's about. Freedom within, and then freedom without, because everything we're doing within creates the without.
Yeah, and freedom can look a lot of different ways. I mean, there's the physical side of freedom to move, freedom to experience life in certain ways. I think the most important freedom is really in our mind.
Well, that's what this whole thing's all about.
Yeah. Well, I know. But, years ago I had a dream. I want to say, 30 years ago. You have, I'm sure you've had those dreams where they're like right there, like it was yesterday. Yeah. And in the dream, I was a male. And I think I talked about this before. Somebody captured me and they were going to torture me. And I had no fear because I knew I could leave my body when I wanted to. So that sense of freedom was really strong. It gave me an experience in my dream state that I couldn't have otherwise or wouldn't have otherwise had at that time.
That's really huge. And what I just saw in my mind is actually my sweetheart was showing me this fabulous piece of art yesterday. And it was beautiful painting, and it was depicting kind of this whole story. But it was showing like lots of souls with chains on them and held by rocks or held by serpents or bugs or different things in this kind of landscape of darkness with like a portal in one place going up to like what looks like a really lit up castle in the sky. Yeah. And then other people trying to go up there, but the chain bringing them back down. Mm-hmm. And then one lit portal in the center where it was like from the tree, the roots of the tree growing up. And then it turned into just spiraling DNA into light, into a light portal going all the way up. And that's what I saw when you're just saying
yeah.
that, because that's what it really is. And that's why it is mastering the mind, because this really isn't the game, this outside thing we see. The body.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of what you're doing in your mind. Whatever you're thinking about yourself, we treat ourselves poorly when we think poorly about ourselves. That's why we eat really bad things, or we do things because we're not caring about ourselves.
Right.
It's our thoughts that drive everything that's happening and drive what this whole picture looks like. That's why we always say, if you want to in the game, go into, people say, I don't have time to meditate, but that's the entire game. It's all in the internal mind. It's about mastering your mind. So being here now, which is kind of where we started, and being freedom, being here present. Well, to do that, to be free and be present, we have to master our mind. That's ultimately it. And so the cool thing about that is, anyone out there, if you've already gotten good at something, then you know how to do it. Because it's actually, you just apply the very same way you got good at anything else, you apply to this. It's just repetition is the mother of all learning. You continue to use the tools. You continue to lay it in. Practice makes perfect. Again and again and again. And it clicks.
That's funny you say that. I was thinking, I play tennis on Mondays, and I was playing tennis, and I was like, I wonder when it clicked for me. Like, because I played as a kid, but not much till I was in my late 20s, and periodically over my life, And I was just like, I'd hit a shot and it would be just so good. Like, I didn't think about hitting it that way. It's automatic, right? Because I've been playing, and I know where it's supposed to go, and I know what my body's supposed to do. But I had that thought, like, gee, I wonder when that clicked in for me. And it's that kind of thing. And I've been meditating since I'm 27, about the same time I started playing tennis. And I'm still practicing. Like,
everything's a continual practice.
Yeah, right? It doesn't feel like, oh, I got that. That's easy.
No.
I still get really like all kinds of thoughts going there. So those of you out there listening, if you're new at meditating, if you've tried it, but it's so hard, it is a practice. It's like playing the piano. It's like playing a sport. It's like getting good at anything, getting skilled at anything. It takes time. And even when you get better at it, there's still more. You still need that practice.
And for those of you out there, a tool that's kind of shown up that seems like will help people. Like for me, I got there a different way, and kind of a woo-woo. Let's go back to that word.
Yes, woo-woo. Yeah, that's been popular this week.
A woo-woo way. With my tools are a little more about connecting with Earth, Source, and activating that way, and grounding into what is an alpha state. And so Jose da Silva, mind control, is like really popping up out there in the world right now. People are talking about it. It's been around forever, but a lot of Gaia, I think the owner of Gaia talked about how he used that. But in essence, it's everything we talk about too. That's what it is. It's getting into an alpha state of consciousness. But this is another way to explain it for those of you out there who are like, I don't know what she's talking about. An alpha state is just below our waking state. So that alpha state is where we're dreaming, where we're creating and manifesting. So that's what you're getting into when you go into a state of meditation. And then you're creating there. You're seeing, you're changing, you're envisioning, you're imagining. You are a divine co-creator and have the ability to navigate your whole journey from this state. So that's the point, is to get into that state and then create, release anything you don't need, wipe things away, and get clear. And I say connect to Source, but you can do it many different ways. But Source is the key. Love is the foundation. There are many false light paths. If love's not the foundation, it's a false light, in my opinion. So, so there's...
Yeah, and meditation, we've said before, some people cannot sit down to meditate. That's a challenge for them. And it may be sitting down on the earth and connecting with the earth, and yoga. And there are many ways to get to that.
But,
Yes, and
this Jose da Silva, what I want to say is actually, I'm going to give you a tool that he uses, that he tells people to use. And he does, like we said, train it in, do it for 10 days, then you do it maybe start at 50. So his method, and you could, if you're more interested in this, obviously, go grab the book.
Yeah.
But if that sounds like an interesting way for you to learn, and that is counting backwards from 100 to zero.
Yeah.
And so he says to start with getting up because you're very close to alpha state. You just woke up. Maybe you go to the bathroom, come back to bed. Don't fall asleep, but start counting down 100 to 0.
Mm-hmm.
To get into alpha state. Try not to fall asleep there. See, so you want to get into that state without sleeping. There you can activate. This is the place that we're working with memories. So when I talk about going within and talking to your inner child and moving your memories and going through, this is the place I'm doing that. It's in this state of mind where you're actually accessing your timelines, your memories, where I've been. You're talking to parts of yourself. So you're getting into that state of consciousness. This exercise is evidently been incredibly helpful for people to do that. Mm. And it's another way of explaining it because it's more talking from the mind arena, more of a scientific approach in that you're really just getting to alpha state of consciousness where you want to create. And basically, you know, when people say, well, people do evil things in alpha, then he would say, well, then you're not in alpha. You've popped back into beta.
Yeah.
Because nothing evil happens in alpha. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing we would say as being in 500's fifth dimensional love vibrational energy. Well, that's pure light love energy, and none of those densities could exist.
You're not going to have those dark energies coming in there.
Yeah, because that's the field of unity, and so it can't exist there. So see how that's like the same thing said two different ways in a way that every different brain understands.
Yeah, and I have to say that I do meditate after I get up in the morning, and it's important for me, and I learned this in meditation years ago, to sit up. Some people would like to lay down.
I would fall asleep.
I go back. Yeah, even if I don't go back to sleep, I need that differentiation. I can sit in bed, but I have to be sitting up or sit in a chair.
I sit too.
Yeah.
It also helps because your chakra column is lined upward because you are wanting to activate that light in that column and feel that resonance through your body. So it's harder to visualize when you're laying down.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, and you might go back to sleep. And if that's what you need, then that's what you do. But if you want to meditate, try or do the counting backwards. Just
so try
sit
that.
up.
If it's been hard for you, try that method. And then you shorten those counts and you do it during the middle of the day, shorten the count, try to get in that state when you're from a beta state into an alpha state. Like halfway during the day, use less counts till you're getting to just 10 counts and then you're there. It's a way to help train your brain to get to a state of mind so you could take yourself there instantaneously. Like all these tools are that. That's why I say use them. And all the meditations on my channel, for instance, are just tools. They're just templates. So as you do them, you get the tools. Once you have the gist, you're just activating it how you want. You just mold it into your own. It's just about utilizing the frameworks and the tools so you can then navigate.
And it becomes more automatic. It's not so laborious.
Right. It gets put in and then it becomes like eating. You didn't know how to drive at one point. Now you don't think about driving.
Right. Which is why we have cell phones in the car and
so
we're eating in the car.
We're masterful beings. We learn very quick. So you're putting it in, you're learning, repetition's the mother of all learning. And as a dancer and a teacher, obviously I've really gotten to experience that through the body and often tell people, I know it seems really hard today, but just do it. Keep doing it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Tomorrow you're going to wake up. It'll be easier.
Yeah.
And they tell me, I got up the next day and it was easier. Exactly. Because your mind, your body computer is remembering and it's plugging it in. So you begin to have muscle memory. I'm not thinking about any of the steps. I'm not thinking about those things. But like what you were saying earlier, I might feel like, oh, I've got it. No, because there's always I'm like, okay, well now I can work on that. Oh, that little shoulder. Ooh, my hand. Am I reaching through my whole fingers? Is my
there's
neck
more to
extending? Am I opening my chest fully? Am I getting low enough? Now there's so many nuances.
Now there's all the
subtleties to concentrate on and work with. It's never ending. I don't think you'd ever feel like you arrived. I never feel like, my movement's so perfect. I got it. I never feel that. I'm like, ooh, I just feel expansive. I'm learning. Yeah, it was
and
good.
That's so true with so many artists and singers and dancers. Is we may watch a performance and say, wow, that was perfect, and they would come back and tell you where
Well, no.
where they want to improve on.
Exactly.
Not that it's wrong.
Right,
Just
no.
that, I could have done this a little differently. I wish I could have gotten that note. I didn't catch that. So
Well, when you
yeah.
think of it this way, Eila, back to the big picture, we're literally in the lowest vibrational construct available to the universe right now. This is the
But
lowest.
we're going
realms.
up. We're going
Correct.
up.
So in that frame, there's a whole lot more to go.
Yeah.
So if we are content here, then you're not going to keep moving forward and expanding yourself.
Right.
Keep expanding, knowing there's more. There's always more, and that's the fun of it. It's
It
this
is.
wild journey of enjoyment, and really ultimately. So with all these things we're talking about, I know it can get kind of serious, but the ultimate expression is to experience joy. If you can get into laughter, comedy, joy, gratitude, you're like, that's your upward motion. Because laughing, once you can laugh at something, you've conquered it. Like, it has no power when you
That
can
was
make
woo
fun
woo.
of it.
That was woo
Right?
woo.
It was woo woo, right? Once you got
it's
over
funny
it.
now.
It's hilarious.
funny.
It's a joke. You're like, I'm going to say it all the time because, now it's just a hilarity.
Yeah.
Because it's got nothing. You got nothing on me.
That's it.
And that's part of that movie reference. You'll see if you've seen it. There's a part where she's like pushing her through all these different realities. You'll fight me here, won't you? And that's really like in that part of you when you were enslaved and you were tortured. If I take you to that reality, are you going to fight me there? Because you're pissed in that reality.
Yeah.
How about this reality? Will you fight me in this one? So if you have conquered all those,
Right.
you're like, nope, you got nothing.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. You
Yeah.
got nothing.
Yeah. And to actually feel it. To actually feel that
you
kind
have
of,
to feel it because you can't
well,
fake it.
You can fake it in
But
the
you
words.
can't fake it vibrationally,
Right.
so it won't actually
No.
work. Which in the movie they show that actually, which is kind of cool.
Somebody trying to
Well, yeah,
fake it.
You'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll see when you watch it.
All right. I'll put
I
that
won't
movie
tell
on
you
my
too
list.
much.
Well,
We'll
let's take
discuss it
take
later.
a station
Real
break.
and a bird and a band.
Whoops, and then we'll come back with let me stop this here. We'll come back with some more music and hold on. Here we go.
The Kohala Night Market returns on Wednesday, July 6th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Village Hub. The community is invited to shop locally produced food and crafts and enjoy entertainment by Tajra. Also, food trucks will be cooking up some local grinds, and there will be a keiki paina. There will be an information booth from 101 Financial, and you can pick up free home COVID tests. And Radio KNKR will be there live, broadcasting from the market. You can stop by our table and meet some of the DJs. That's the Kohala Night Market on Wednesday, July 6th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Village Hub. See you there.
Aloha Kohala. Please tune in on July 13th at noon to listen to a new episode of Tutu's Talk Story with host Holly Allgood, and her guest will be Tina Stewart. They're going to be talking about the 100 Women Who Care organization, as well as healing. That, once again, is Wednesday at 12 o'clock on July 13th, 2022 on KNKRLP 96.1 FM, Kohala. We are back. You are back here. It's 3:29, July 6, 2022. You're listening to Intuitive Talk Story with Eila Allgood and
Michál, Anna.
there she is.
I was in my mind.
You were zoning.
Bye.
You were zoning.
Well,
So
I was
we've
thinking about freedom.
We've been talking about a lot of things. One of the things I wanted to bring up is I was at the Kohala reunion.
Yes.
Doing a live broadcast for KNKR. So I was sitting there and I was watching, and we were talk storying with some people on air. And I was really touched by the level of gratitude I observed and felt energetically. People were so grateful to be there, to be part of, to be interacting with one another. It was for me, it was a pretty high vibe kind of event. And I felt like it was a gift for me to be able to be part of that. And that's the kind of community we live in, which is pretty amazing. You know, people say, how do you live in that little town on the tip of Hawaii Island? It's like, oh, there's so much you don't know.
Yep. Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's in small towns we get to become, you know, you love one another in a different way because you know people. Maybe you're not my best friend. We don't hang out all the time, but I know you. I know what you've done. I know respect and value your presence, and
Yeah.
there's just kind of an inherent honoring and
Yeah.
respect that I think happens, and I feel that way about so many people in our beautiful small town, and I'm so grateful as well. I did not get to attend the reunion. I was working most of the weekend, but I definitely was there in spirit. I know I heard some beautiful things, and
Yeah.
so great. I love it. So the spirit of joy, you know, that's freedom, right? When we're in the spirit of joy and gratitude and we're living that spirit each and every day, that's really experiencing our true freedom and mastering our mind. And, you know, when we were on break, we're kind of talking about, you know, we've talked many times about ways to do that, ways to clear, ways to go within. But we might just kind of recap some ways. If you're like, well, I don't know, how do I get myself back in the center? Meditation, right? What we just talked about, maybe using some of these number tools to get yourself
counting
into the zone,
backwards.
counting backwards.
And you can start with a 5-minute meditation where you sit and you close your eyes for 5 minutes and count backwards.
Yeah, it
Something
just start
really
there.
simple.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that was, is
Yeah.
that you don't have to do much more. You're just getting into that alpha state and beginning to touch that place in yourself and bring into that 0 point. So like we said, you're really collecting all the pieces. The number of ways to do that inner child work is really, I think, crucial for that. But taking authority over your vessel on a daily basis, there's so many energies. We're in an energetic situation. And ultimately, we're being bombarded every day if we're not protecting our field and, in essence, radiating the light outward is more, you can think of it that way. It's not a protection like be scared. It's more like walk in love and radiate so that anything that comes into your field is burning upon entry kind of thing.
It just can't resonate
It
in
just can't
your
live there.
vibration.
Yeah,
Right.
so it just burns up. Like, so that instead of you being affected by all of the things happening around you throughout the day and feeling it and getting bombarded, you're just burning it up, like, because you're a brilliant sun, and it just burns through because your light is shining and you're allowing that resonance of joy to come through you. So taking authority over your vessel, I have full authority over this vessel. Nothing has power over me. This is such a potent statement, and believing it, meaning it, feeling it in your spirit with love, not with fear, because fear is a vibration, right? So even when we're doing clearings and things, you know, when you'll those of you who've gotten to those deeper places, you know what I mean. And those of you on your way, that when you get there, choose love. It's a moment where you want to fight. You want to keep fighting. You want to, like, get away. You know, I don't want this, or whatever it is. But the choice right there is that inner part of yourself. There's, you know, something ugly there usually that has to be loved. And so it's the embrace to, like, and it's everything in you wants to push it away, but to embrace into that love. And I love that. I love you. The whatever ugly thing, the serpent, the demon, whatever you see, whatever it is, the ugly part or the thing you didn't like about yourself or whatever, you're loving all of it and literally dissipating the energy. You're transmuting it back into its rightful place in the light, because there is no separation. Everything is one thing. Even the darkest, most horrible demon is still just a part of the infinite that has forgotten its own light. And so sometimes it won't remember to come home. It doesn't want to come home, but I'm sorry, I have full authority here. And guess what? It's just going to go home now. That's what's going to happen. You just get to go. I love you. Oh, I know you want to talk about it, but no talk. We just got to go. Take your rightful place in the light. Love you. Enjoy. Okay, bye.
Yeah, and know that sometimes it's not so easy, especially if that's close to you. If you're dealing with somebody who's exhibiting some, you know, demonic behaviors.
But it's really just hitting the place inside of yourself that's still holding something. Because when there's zero energy, Like, think about someone you have no you just ran it. You just see something in the parking lot, some person. You have no energy on what's going on. You're just thinking about solutions. Oh, what's going on here? You're not emotionally involved.
Right.
Right? You're in zero, and you can just helpful. So if it's affecting me on any level, that's in me.
Right. If I'm getting triggered.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about too, we all have situations in our lives that I'm thinking of where one person has been exhibiting a lot of negative behavior to another person, and I get triggered I don't know that I get triggered. I feel compassion for the person who's having that treatment. And all along I've been focused on that person and sending them love. And then I started to think, how could I visualize this person who's just dealing with a lot of dark energy within themselves? How could I visualize them at their best? What would the best look like? And I went to that place, and I'm getting all goosey just talking about it. I went to that place and I visualized this person in a behavior I've never even seen them, but holding that place for them. Now my whole body's tingling. It raises me up, as well as giving them the potential of being raised up. Instead of expecting the worst, I'm seeing them.
You're helping to change it, because they're programs that we all feed. And my projection feeds it just as much as I'm not helping you if I'm projecting onto you the way you used to be. If you always were something, I'm like, if I'm looking for you to do it, I'm not helping to support you in releasing that behavior. Right? So that's why we say see one another new in each and every moment, because truly you are not the same person as you were even an hour ago. You learned something. You're shifting all the time. So if we can allow one another to be new, like, well, where are you right now? Maybe you learned and you figured that out. Great. The benefit of the doubt. I mean, we're learning all the time. So maybe you've conquered all that stuff. I don't know.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Yeah. Exactly. Not holding.
And it definitely is a higher vibrational place for me to view another person at their highest vibrational place. It seems so simple, and like I must have done this before, it just really hit me with this situation.
I love that it did, because it's similar to, we've talked before, and it's the same thing of like when people talk about a person that's sick or something. Yeah. And they say, oh, poor so-and-so. Gosh, I know. I feel so bad for her. Da-da-da-da-da, right? That's not helping that person. What helps them is me seeing her whole, seeing her healed, seeing her body renewed, seeing her have everything she needs to be supported, and just seeing her healed. That's going to help that person, not me sitting on their poor
dwelling
them,
on
the worry and sadness of their poor situation. So to lift everyone up and see them in their highest source energy. So ultimately, we are looking for source in everything, into connecting with the divine one, so that you are literally, again, living in unity. Because now I'm seeing the God, the source being within you. I'm not, the rest is just programs, whatever. You'll figure it out.
Right, and programs and energies that may be attaching to that person because they're in a dark place and they're not working.
We're not even
things
thinking of it as a dark place, because sometimes people have a judgment on that, but it's not dark. It's just part of the denser energies. There's no judgment on these things. They're just hard. Some are denser and some are lighter. And as we move in the denser energies, we're learning different things. Those denser qualities have these emotional energies that are exploration. You were learning as souls how to explore and master and control these emotions, and how to feel and define it and put it where it needs to be. But that's as we move into higher realms, we start releasing those denser energies, because we've learned them. It's kind of like, I don't need those crutches anymore. Now I can just, I don't need the training wheels either. I'm just flying. Now I don't even need that. I'm just going. It's like, so we don't need those denser energies once we move in, because we have greater understanding and we see different ways to handle things. It becomes much easier, much more graceful. So
I like that. I like the concept of a denser energy versus dark.
Yeah.
Because there's something about dark that feels
judgment
heavy.
It can
hopeless.
also create separation, because it really, it's people. This is part of what's gotten so wrong in our current situation. is even all of our mystical, most of our religious traditions still really push the idea of duality.
Yeah.
Which is good and evil, and this whole sense of duality.
Heaven and hell. And,
which really, there are heavens and hells, I agree. But the sense that duality is that it's founded in duality is actually a separation, because it's unity. It's founded in unity. So if you, the foundation of which you spring an idea forth does everything. So if you smash that foundation, you go, okay, well, if I come from the foundation of unity, and then I look at these concepts, they don't make sense anymore.
So then we don't have the either ors, that you're either this or you're that.
Right, because you're actually everything.
All of it.
You're all of it. It's what do you choose to be. You have access to be the darkest, most horrible person, and you have access to be the most amazing co-creative being.
Every moment of the day.
And it's choice that you as a soul get to make, that each of us gets to make. And that comes into what is real freedom, accountability, and responsibility. Because in order for me to truly be free, it means I'm responsible for myself. If freedom isn't, well, I get to do whatever the hell I want. I just drive and make a mess. That's not freedom, because I'm not being responsible. Because if I'm truly free, I understand that I am you and you are me. That tree is me. Everything outside is me. And I want to care for it as I care for myself. For I and I is all that is.
Because by caring for it, you are caring for yourself.
Correct. Because I am
connected.
Well, because I am that I am.
Yeah. I wish I could get your facial expression on there. Yeah. Okay. So where do we want to go?
Well, unity. Sit in that for a minute. I say take a breath into unity. Everyone just experience, like, what does that mean to be in the field of unity? Like, really just seeing the best in everything in each moment, making that choice. You can choose it. Like I say to you for this week, choose release judgment. For those of you who are still activating judgment. If you're not, then great. And just choose to find the higher path, and anything that goes on for the rest of the week. Go, nope, I'm not doing the negative. I'm not going to give any energy to that. I'm just going to find the higher path, find their best qualities, find the best qualities in my friend and my boss and whoever, and just start seeing that as who they are and treat it that way. And imagine and watch what happens when you begin to treat something the way you would like it to be, the way you see it's possible of being. See, now you're feeding the energy to change and help progress it. And if you're not feeding, if you know reactions, then when the other energies go into blah, 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 whatever form that is, you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, have fun with that. I'm going to keep planting. Right?
Yeah.
You're unaffected by that energy, and you just keep creating and visualizing the beauty, the love.
And it may be you start by doing it for an hour. Like if you're not used to consciously thinking about these things, you do it in steps and you do it for an hour, and then you're exhausted from that. Well, maybe you'll find out actually you're energized, but you'll see. And then you go into another situation. And I know I've done that going into like a gathering. Set an intention before I get there. Here's what I want to experience. Here's what I want to bring. Here's what I want to see. And create that reality for yourself. It doesn't mean something else won't happen. It's just setting it up in the way that you want to, with the greatest and highest good for yourself and those around you.
And that comes back into things we've talked about, is being intentional in each moment, praying throughout your day, using every moment to activate, because, well, what else you got to do? You know, like it's what we're here for. We're here to activate our divine love. That's really the whole mission. So you use it. Use your space, use your time to change the mind, to activate tools.
Any of those people out there who may take their dog for a walk, I do lots of prayers when I'm out with the dog. I'll just take them out, and as soon as I get outside, I just have, prayers that I do, and gratefulness. And one of the other things I do, I find myself doing a lot, is I count. Like when I'm walking, all of a sudden I'll be at 50, and I'm like, oh, I guess I've been counting for a while. And I feel like that's just a way for me to empty my mind.
It
in
is.
The course of the day.
It's interesting when I just had a flash, because in dance has really helped me empty my mind.
Yeah.
So
You can't really think about a whole lot.
you can't. You have to be totally there.
Yeah.
But we count a lot. In the beginning when you're first doing counts.
Steps.
Yeah, you count 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4,
Yes.
5, 6, 7. You're counting a lot. So that also puts the brain into that.
Yeah.
And then your mind, everything else is free to be in part of the movement, part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So that same concept, and that's what that De Silva technique is about, is giving your mind something to do
Yeah.
while you allow like another space to come forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the mind is tricky, it's connected to the ego and it wants to like take
Wants
you
to
somewhere
control.
else. It wants to control, right? So
Yeah.
it's give it something to do.
Yeah.
Have it think about that, kind of thing. And then like, along the lines Eila was saying, so like you get in the habit of every day you're going to work, send your guides or send light before you, however you see it. See just beautiful day. I've said for many years, let I just be a blessing today.
Yeah.
Let I just be a blessing.
Yeah.
And I just pray, all goes well. That's it. If I can just do that, great. So, and then you see light around your car as you're moving down the highway. See light around your house. See everything in like golden bubbles below and above, because there's energies everywhere. So you're creating an energetic light bubble around everything. Like you can do it around yourself, then around your house, then around your your whole property, or around whatever, your apartment building, your townhouse, whatever. Then around your area where you work or your car. You're just starting to practice the energetics of activating divine love, light, and visualizing, right? Because we all have this capacity. We're all divine co-creators. We all have infinite ability to manifest and co-create with infinite source light.
And as you're talking about that, I'm thinking, people are probably wondering how are they going to fit that into their day. But it's actually, I want to say that it takes, if you find yourself thinking about things that are not serving you, start bringing in these things that we're talking about, whether it's counting, whether it's saying prayers, gratitude. When you're doing these other things, put yourself in a bubble, put your friends in a bubble, put the dog in a bubble, you spend all day putting everyone in a bubble. You're not going to have a whole lot of dense energy to deal with.
Right. And it's just using the tools. So whenever something happens, go to the tools, don't go to the pity pot. Don't let yourself dive into the whole story, the program. If you can, that's the goal, is like get yourself to not go to the program. The other thing you can do if you do have some heavy programs running, where maybe you have anger or defensiveness or anxiety, worry, insecurity, they come with some very familiar statements. You will find that you say the same things over and over and over again. The people in your life might tell you always say this statement. If you can know what those statements are, ask your partner or your friend, what is it I always say when I'm in that state?
Yeah.
And then write it down and put it on the wall. And then literally when you will get triggered again, because that's what you're working on.
Right.
It's going to happen. And then if you can, at least it's on the wall, you can see it. And you're literally saying, well, you always do blah, blah. You look at the paper and it says, you always do blah, blah. Oh, I am
there I'm
saying
going.
the program. I'm in it. Oh, boy. Okay, I'm in the program. Right now, if you can make that awareness, you go, okay, only way out is for me to close my eyes and count backwards. Let me do that one. Like, right? That's a way we're saying you could implement this tool, is like, see, now immediately
right.
you use it when you need it.
Yeah.
Like, you just like start doing that now, because if you allow the roaches to come out and wreak havoc and you don't do anything, and then there's just a bunch of roach crap all over the place and they're gone under the couch again. That's not good.
Catch them later.
Yeah. So get it while it's hot.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point of these things, is to give you tools to activate in the moment so that you can master the mind and direct and create your reality as a divine co-creative being.
Yeah, and the words, we've talked about language and the importance of language and how we phrase things, and phrasing things in the positive rather than what I don't want. Here's what I do want.
Universe doesn't hear the don't.
Here's what I want to see in my life. And when you catch yourself, and you will, the more conscious you become, the more you realize, oh, wait a minute, that person said something and I'm triggered, and then you can go to the tools. Then you can go to breathing. Breathing is really helpful. Just to focus on your breath. You don't even have to close your eyes if you're
First and
driving in the
foremost.
car or walking, you can't close your eyes. It's like, oh, wow, take a breath. Mm-hmm. I just said that to somebody the other day. I said they were upset about something. I'm like, just remember to take a breath. And it was important to me to say it in a way that I respected what they had, that they were going through something.
It's okay.
I respect that. And remember to breathe through it. Because as soon as you stop to breathe, you break that thought pattern in your head. And now you can get another perspective. Maybe you can pull back a little and see that situation a little differently, because you got away from it for a moment in your mind.
Yes, absolutely. Plus, usually reactions, when we're in reaction, it happens very quickly. Like I'm almost cutting you off while you're talking, right? Kind of thing. Like I've always got something, I'm already in it. Like, because I'm not, that's where the breath comes in. Like it will stop you from just going into reaction. You want to react, but instead go, I'm going to breathe. Take 3 breaths. If you can do 3 breaths, because, you need 3 breaths, because they're like one breath, just like,
that could still be exasperated.
Like, right. And then you're like, right, I'm breathing. Right. And you're taking that to like, I'm collecting my thoughts. What am I really feeling? What do I really want to say right now? Do I need to engage in this at all? Maybe I don't have the tools to engage. Yeah. Maybe I don't know what's going on right now, but I know I don't feel good. See, so you don't have to know what's happening in the moment, but I know this isn't feeling good, and I can't talk to you right now because I'm not going to say something that's going to be productive. Yeah. So can we just, like we talked about last week, can we table this? Yeah. Can we just stop right now? I love you, and I need to just take a break because I'm not. I don't want to be in reaction. I don't even know what's happening. Yeah. I'm in a reaction. I don't even know. Yeah. So let me go and just, if you can get away from the conversation, just stop, go. Take some breaths, go outside. Depending wherever you are. Yeah. Do what you got to do. Yeah. Create some space, breathe, and think. Feel into it. If you have the ability to close your eyes and look in there, or just to sit and think and ponder, like, why am I getting so worked up? What is this hitting? What am I feeling? The more inquiry, curiosity that you bring to it, you start to see it. Because our usual, this is with our programs, we've talked about this, defense typically and justification will typically rise their little heads and tell you not to go in there. Oh no, you did a perfectly right thing. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah, that kind of voice. It was her fault. Oh, it was so her. Well, I don't even know. You were, whatever. It tells you a voice that justifies whatever decision you've made. So you can go, yeah, I don't need to look at that. Shh. Right? So that's the voice you're getting around to go in and go, no, there's something here. I'm curious. And you're walking in love around it. I'm curious. I'm not judging myself. I'm not going, oh, I'm bad. I suck. I have to find it. No, I'm just curious. Why do I feel this way? It's okay that I'm feeling bad. I want to find it. I want to help heal my little girl, which means I'm now reaching into compassion for myself. Like I'm going, okay, I can choose compassion, which is what we all haven't really had a lot of. It's like, oh, be quiet. Just put it to the side. Don't, don't say anything.
Stuff it under the rug.
Yeah. Suck it up.
Yes. Suck it up,
be
Sally.
Be a big girl. Whatever it is. We haven't learned to be compassionate, which is why our society doesn't hold compassion for healing. It puts you in jail. Yes. Right? Will punish you for being bad instead of, wow, there's a trauma here that needs some help. Right. And so our approach has been completely inverted in this society. So we are now choosing as a awake society, those of us who are making choices to create with love and kindness and awareness to move into greater compassion. And that means I can hold, you're having a whole thing and it's like, wow, that's really intense. I'm so sorry. I can just hear you. Yeah. I can just hear you.
And hold space for that. Instead of taking it personally.
Instead of taking it personally. Being, well, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I didn't do that. I have nothing to do with that. Whatever it is we do to push away because we don't want to hold that compassionate space because it might mean something about me I have to look at is what we tend to do. So when we take all that out and it's not about me because most things aren't about you. Remember that. Most everything's not about you.
What other people are saying and doing rarely is about you. And it's about them and their story.
That's right. And what other people think of you is none of your business. Because it's your movie. And it matters what you think of you.
That's funny. I hear that a lot from different people where they're like, oh, I think so and so doesn't really like me because she didn't do this or she acted like this, and I'm like, she doesn't care about you. She's doing her own life. Like, that's not.
She's just in her own trauma.
You're thinking you're that important that she's thinking all about you and doing this to bother you. I kind of see things more vibrationally. It's like, if this person is not in my life anymore, well, maybe it's because we're just moved to different vibes and we're not meant to be in the same.
Okay, so here's another little thought for you guys. This might get a little nuts, but in essence, if you've seen The Matrix, that gives you a jumping point for at least the visual of like the Mr. Smith that can come into anyone at any time, anywhere, right? You're over here and he comes in. So that's because we have holes. We've talked about this before. Most people have holes, which means you have a wound somewhere that is an entry point for a denser energy to enter into your field and affect your mind, affect things, because they're programs and energies that have agendas. So let's say my thing is, I don't know, let's just use an example of like I am a worrier, okay? So let's say we get into a friendship, you have a hole and you have a hole on something else, but it's an entry hole. Oh, this is perfect. There's a hole for her. Boom. So that the worry stuff that makes my loop hell comes through you, because it's going to come through you because you have a hole for it to Mr. Smith to jump through you,
right?
And then have
trigger
you trigger
worry.
My worry.
Yeah.
See, because I was always like, I wondered, how does this vibrational thing link up that we're all perfectly activating each other's stuff? But it's because we have holes, and so the energies that are basically coming from me, trying to take me down. I've talked about this before. It's wherever you got brought down, and you're you're in a loop, whatever that final crack was that made you separate or feel that. That's what that's what's coming for you again. Like, you have to conquer separation basically to unity and unify within the self. So otherwise things are coming through you. And like, I felt it in other ways, that people project, even if they have a really strong reality about something, and they come into your field and they're just projecting what they expect. If you're paying attention, you can feel how you're starting to get pulled in the projections. Like, wait, I never say that. Where'd that just come from? I'm starting to
really have to get
the
very
program
centered
for someone else's shit. Oh, excuse me. So, but someone's caca. So, at any way, like, that's gets into these fine awarenesses. You start to realize what's mine, what's someone else's. You're only working with your stuff. Everyone else's stuff's none of your business, and don't worry about it. Like, it doesn't mean you don't care. It actually means the more I can go to love and reflect, then I can just hold love. So I really can help my friend, because I won't get pulled into any of their stuff. I can just be loving. That's the goal. Like, get to love and then reach out a hand. Right?
Well, I think that's a really good place to end today.
Yes,
embrace yourself, embrace love, and it's when you're in that space that you can reach out your hand to somebody else.
But even, that brings I have to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
If you're actually in a fighting space, if you can just reach out your hand, that is, you break everything. Like, that's the hardest thing when you're mad at someone, or it's like, I'm mad at Eila, like to go just reach out my hand and go, okay, shake your hand. That's really difficult, right? Everything in you wants to repel. So sometimes if you can't say anything, but you want to shift something quickly, especially with your partners, your family, just give them a hug. Just hold their hand. You don't have to say it. Just choose love in the moment. That's how you can push through that piece of separation. I'm going to bust through it. I choose love. And you literally bust it. And then it helps you find where they're really coming from and
then you can go into what triggered it and what it's all about.
Exactly.
But you're doing it in a loving place.
Well, you're helping yourself, because that's huge. It's calling out the pink elephant in the room. Once you do that, half the game's over.
Well, thanks for being here today, dear.
Thank you, Miss Eila.
Yeah, this was great. And we're going to do it again next week, because you're going to be traveling for a while. You're going to Colorado for a few weeks. So we'll be here again next week. Stay tuned for a live broadcast from Kohala Hub Wednesday Night Market. It's 4:00. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. Have a beautiful week, everybody.
Mahalo nui loa and sonini na nini. Blessing.